Hey everybody, I'm Stacy. I'm the owner and artist of New Creations by Stacy, and I'm an elite Dixie Belle retailer here in Madison, Alabama at the Rustic Willow. Ardmore, Alabama. I actually live in Madison. So, hey, happy Monday everybody. I'm just going to give it a sec to make sure that I am live. Dixie Belle should be on with us tonight as well to help answer any questions, and if I should miss anything, I'm going to come back after the live and answer any comments or questions, anything like that. Tonight we're actually going to be updating cabinets, and we've got quite a bit to go through, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Just quickly before we do that, in the description I do have a link to my Facebook page, so you can like and follow, see how everything turns out. And then I also have I have the Chalk Mineral Paint Enthusiast Group link. So amazing artists on there, all kinds of great information, great place to ask questions as well too if you just need to know something, if you're working on a project. And then I also have a full product list of everything we're going to be using tonight, so we can actually go ahead and get started. And so tonight, like I said, we're doing cabinets, and we're going to go all the way start to finish, clean, prep. We're going to talk about primer, paint, and then also we're going to glaze and wax. So this is actually a custom job I'm doing. A little over a year ago, I did the other bathroom, and then also part of the kitchen. So these are actually drawer fronts. The ones that we're going to be working on are a little bit bigger, but we're going to start with how to clean them. So this is it. I kind of want to bring you guys in close so you can kind of see what type of finish it has. And hey, you guys, as you're popping on, just say hey, where you're watching from, if you're working on any projects tonight or anything like that. So I actually took these drawer fronts off. Normally I wouldn't do that, but it was really easy. They were just held on by a couple screws. And I have them labeled, of course, because I want them to fit back together correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and pop you guys down so that you're able to see. Let's see here. And I'm not seeing any comments so far, but I will try to keep up like I said. So the first thing that we're going to do is clean with a little bit of White Lightning. It's a TSP solution, base solution. It comes in these little crystals, 2 tablespoons to a gallon of water. And this thing lasts forever. It's like $5.95, and I think it makes a total of 16 gallons. So I mix mine up and I put it in these little spray bottles. So we're just going to go ahead and quickly, really liberally just spray it down with this TSP, or White Lightning, TSP based, specifically for cleaning prior to paint. And I get these little scrubbies from the Dollar Tree and cut them in half. They're great for cleaning. And I will tell you, these cabinets were really super clean before I even started. But if you had some grimier ones, you can use a toothbrush just to kind of get in the grooves and make sure you get anything that's kind of stuck on there out. And we're just going to go ahead and scrub the sides. Like I said, I was lucky. These were really clean to begin with, so super easy. And then we're just going to go ahead and take a paper towel so that we can dry off that residue. You just want to make sure you get as much off as you can here. And then you don't want to leave any of this residue on here. So after you clean it with the White Lightning, you're going to go ahead and just mix it with water. So this is straight water. And just spray it again really liberally. And this time I use shop towels just because these shop towels are lint-free, so they're not going to leave any, specks that you're going to paint in on here. And you just want to dry it off really well. Make sure it's good and clean. Get the sides dried off. And then once you do this, you're just gonna set it aside and let everything dry before you go on to your next step. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this aside. Just clean up my work area because I don't want any of that TSP on the cabinets that are the drawer fronts that I've already done. So the next step is to decide if you need a primer. And we actually have two primers. We have Slick Stick. So if your cabinets are laminate, you definitely want to use Slick Stick. Also, if your cabinets, even if they're wood, but they have a super glossy finish, Slick Stick is what you're gonna wanna use. When you have that glossy finish, even if they're wood, you don't need to use a stain blocking primer like Boss because that finish is blocking the bleed through already for you. So you just need Slick Stick on it in order to make sure that your paint bonds well. And like I said, the other thing is Boss. So let's say your finish is a little bit worn and it's oak, cherry, something like that that's a heavy bleeder. In that case, you would want to use Boss. So with these, the way that these cabinets are, they don't have a super shiny surface. You can kind of see, but they are wood, but the finish is really intact and it is still a little slick. I could probably actually get away with only doing a scuff sand on here, but I like to be extra cautious, especially when it's not something I can go back and easily touch up. And like I said, I've actually done these cabinets over a year ago, 2 sets of them, exact same cabinets, and I did use Slick Stick on them, and they've held up phenomenally well. So I'm going to do the same thing this time. So let me just grab one of my plates, and I've got my Slick Stick here. And again, Slick Stick is a bonding primer. So if your cabinets are laminate, definitely use it. It's also good for glass, metal, plastic, anything like that. So we're gonna go ahead and Slick Stick these. I like to use an old brush because it's a bonding primer. It's gonna stick to everything. Oh, hey, Marianne, how are you? All right, so I put my Slick Stick on in a very thin coat. I like thin coats. You're less likely to see brush strokes. And I'm actually using a small round brush to apply it. And these are synthetic brushes, so they're least likely to leave brush strokes on your piece. So when I do cabinets, this is always the brush that I'm gonna pick to use. So you see, I'm just kind of putting it on here very thin. So any brush strokes, it's not really self-leveling. So any brush strokes that are on here, you're gonna see through the paint. So you wanna get it thin and as smooth as possible. So there's really 2 reasons why I'm using Slick Stick, and this isn't really what it's meant for, but I'm going with Endless Shore, which is kind of a creamy antique white-like color. So this is actually going to help me with coverage as well because it's white. So the Slick Stick is not only just adding some extra help with my paint bonding, but it's also helping me with coverage. So it's really, there's a good chance with these cabinets I would have had to do 3 coats had I not had, if I wouldn't have used the Slick Stick to help with the coverage. Again, not what it's made for, but it works. So I can go around and do these edges here, but just so you see what it looks like. And we're just gonna set it off to the side and let that dry. So typically the way that you want to use Slick Stick, you want to do 2 coats. I'm able to catch you live in a hot minute. Oh, I know. Hey, Anitra. Yes, I haven't seen so many people I used to see on. I had to take that break with my back, and now I'm just starting to catch everybody again. I'm so happy to see everyone. So with the slick stick though, what I was saying here, the recommended usage for it is 2 coats, and then you want to let it dry at least overnight or 24 hours. I like to do 24 hours. Again, I'm just a little extra precautionary there. I'm also, because I'm using this doubly for coverage, and it's not a situation where I had to use slick stick. I could have done the scuff sand. I'm only doing 1 coat. And like I said, I've done these over a year ago. No issues with anything. So this is definitely good here. So after I get this on, I'm actually using Silk and Endless Shore. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so happy to be back. I just miss doing this. I miss everyone. I know we only know each other online, but you know, I'm used to seeing you guys and talking to you. So this is that color of Endless Shore. See, it's really light. It's like an antique white kind of color. So with Silk, Silk has a blocking primer for 1 in it. So that's where Boss comes back in. I wouldn't have to use Boss. I might only have to use 1 coat of Boss instead of 2 on cabinets if it was a situation like that, because I have an all-in-one paint here that has a blocking primer in it. It also has what's equivalent to 1 coat of a protectant in the Silk paint. So that's another, that's just another plus when you're doing cabinets. Silk is amazing. It's perfect for cabinets. I'm getting ready to do my front door, and I'll probably do it live as well. I'm going to do it in Silk. And this paint goes on so smooth. It is self-leveling. So, you know, if you're using a good synthetic brush, you don't have to worry as much about the brush strokes. You do want to get it on quickly because you don't want to have any drag marks or anything like that. And here I'm just really trying to make sure on this first coat that I'm getting coverage and all these little cracks and crevices. I like to do my coats thin. I'm just a very thin painter. And I find that's also something where I will have less brush strokes. I don't have to sand in between. I'm probably not going to paint the edges while I'm live with you guys. I'll go through and catch all these pieces up to the same point too. And then let's see here. Just putting this on. So you guys, one of the biggest things, this is just a tip or trick. It has nothing to do with me painting here. But when you're doing cabinets, you want to be careful with the hinges when you've got the cabinet doors and you're taking those off. A lot of times the hinges do not go back on the same, and there's a couple reasons that can happen. One, you want to label your hinges, and you want to put them back on the exact doors that they came off. You don't want to mix and match because they will not go on straight. So you want to be careful there. Also, when you're taking them off, you don't want to completely take off the top hinge and leave all the pressure and weight on that bottom hinge, because they can potentially bend. So then when you put them back on, they're going to look a little crooked. They're not going to look like when they came off. So those are probably the 2 most common things I hear from people who do their own cabinets, is getting the doors back on without any issues and not having them crooked. And by the way, you guys, I'm more of an artistic painter. I don't do cabinets very frequently, but if I have regular customers that I've done stuff with before, I will go ahead and do their cabinets. So I've got pretty good coverage on here. Any spots I missed, I can go back and get. I'm not going to paint the edges because you guys aren't going to be able to see them. But let me bring this in. So you can kind of see how that one coat looks. I've got pretty good coverage. I missed a couple spots. But you don't want to keep going back over it because you don't want to get drag marks. You want to let it fully dry and then come back and do your second coat. Just make sure you pick up those points. And as for silk, you always want to do 2 coats for the integrity of the paint, even if you have coverage with 1. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put a second coat on here. So this is the first coat on the one drawer front. So you see after it's dry, I've got pretty good coverage here. The slick stick helps that immensely. Not what it's made for, again, but it works. So that's just a little tip. And I'd rather get something extra out of it other than just coverage if I'm going to have to do that extra coat anyway. And of course, honestly, spraying cabinets are the better way to go. It's less work, but I do not like spraying. I don't like cleaning up the mess. So if I'm going to do them, I will brush them. So I'm just I want to pay attention and get good coverage with the second coat. You guys, you know what? When it's live, I think actually based on the time, we're going to be through this pretty quick. I'll scroll through because I feel like I'm missing quite a bit. And you know, all of these principles that we're using on the cabinet door, those apply to furniture. It's really the same thing as far as how to decide when to use a primer or what you want to do there. I'm gonna leave that outside edge. I'll come back and pick that up when I'm not live, and I'll keep it to the areas that you can really see. And so these drawers too, like the cabinet doors, I will actually paint the back of them. But with these drawer fronts, I just pop those off. I don't need to paint the back because we're gonna reattach them and you're not gonna see them. And when I have little squares and all these details like this, I tend to go just kind of around. So I'm not going back over areas that I paint. I tend to just go all the way around and either work my way in or out because you don't want those drag marks. Silk dries. Silk will appear dry on that outside layer, but the inside can still be wet and you're just kind of peeling back that layer if it's still in the process of drying. Usually want to wait about 2 hours before you go back in and do your second coat. Just want to make sure that I've got everything. Sometimes it's hard to tell because you already have good coverage on the first coat. Especially with that slick stick under it. So you can see that's how it's looking with the second coat. And now we're going to come into the fun stuff because we don't want this to be so flat. Well, sorry, one more thing before the fun stuff. Oh, awesome news, you guys. If you haven't been, if you don't know already, you may. Retailers will be able to purchase Gator Hide on the 20th, 16-ounce containers. So that will be back in stock. I actually had quite a bit right before it went out, thankfully. So I have just a little bit left. And I try to save them for cabinets. This is a bathroom vanity, so I want extra protection on it. I have 2 coats already built into the silk, but I want a water repellent coat. So that's why I use Gator Hide on cabinets. Great for tabletops or outdoor projects as well because of that water repellent. And I don't want to waste any, so I just poured a little bit out here. I know, me too. I'm so excited about the Gator Hide coming back. So 2 reasons. Like I said, I want extra protection. I want it to be water repellent. So after the 2 coats, I'm going to apply a coat of Gator Hide. Just 1 coat. Also, the second reason I'm choosing to apply a coat of Gator Hide is I'm going to glaze and wax these. And I want it to be very manageable and workable. I don't want my glaze to sink in and not be able to wipe it back as much as I want it to. This gives me extra control. And soap is kind of silky anyway. So it's not a huge thing. But there is a slight difference between protecting it. And this kind of has like a satiny type of finish here. You do want to work fast with Gator Hide, and you don't want to go over the same spots. You don't have as much work time with Gator Hide as you do with the clear coat. So you want to be quick, and you don't want it to be streaky. Go over it a couple times. If you feel it start to drag, it's time to stop. Doesn't matter if you missed a spot, stop. Come back and get it once it dries. So you just want to quickly go around. So for the Gator Hide, and these are just, like I said, little tips and tricks because it goes so quickly. I've got an overlap up here. I want to get that next section next to it done before that starts to dry, and I pull that area and end up with streaks. So you just want to keep that rolling. Doesn't take a lot. And the reason I'm using a smaller brush, you guys, these brushes hold a lot more product than they look like they would hold for a brush this size. This is a round small. It's an easy way for me to control and do not put too much paint on here so that I'm overworking it. So we've got this protected. It's drying now. Let me just show it to you up close. You know, it's going to look a little, it's going to be a satiny type of sheen to it, but it looks super glossy right now just because it's wet. So we're going to go ahead and set this off to the side. So I like to give it, before I start glazing, I like to give it at least overnight. I really prefer 24 hours with the Gator Hide. Whoops, I just knocked everything over. So once that is on, this one has the Gator Hide on. So you can see the sheen that it gives it. So now we're going to go ahead and add some detail. And we're going to make all of these gorgeous lines just stand out here. Can we put a clear coat on before I'm applying Gator Hide? Yes, so like one of the tricks, if I'm using a dark stain, like on a tabletop, or like if I was going to put it on a dresser top or something like that, I will actually use like a flat clear coat and then put the Gator Hide over that, especially if you're using CMP, because the Gator Hide going over a darker color or a darker stain, it's easier to streak. But if you put that flat clear coat under it, that's one little trick to avoid streaks. So definitely there. So this is the Dyke Brown Glaze. You see I'm almost out. I've got another one, but this won't take much. So for this part, I am going to use a premium chip brush. And you could use really any brush for this. Sometimes I use an art brush. It just kind of depends. And I've got my baby wipes over here because we're going to wipe it back. And all I'm going to do here, I don't want to put glaze all over it. I really am only wanting to do these details. So I'm just roughly putting it around these edges. And I know that looks a little bit crazy right there, but okay, so once I get that on, I'm going to go ahead, kind of missed a few spots in there we go. So once I get this on, I'm going to go ahead and wipe it back so I can just only have as much as I want in the details. And you can wipe as much of this back as you want to, or you can leave it heavy. You can brush it all over. I mean, there's no rules with glaze. It's just what you like, how you want it to look. And with these cabinets, like I said, I've done 2 other sets in our home already. And we want a lot of that depth in here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab another one. That one's getting a little bit dirty. So if this starts to dry too, I can always mist it to kind of reactivate it. It has to be really quick though, but to kind of reactivate it for the white back. And I'm kind of picky with the glaze, you guys, so it takes me a minute just to get it exactly kind of how I want it. Kind of just want it a little bit streaky on that top part. And you want to work in small sections with your glaze too, because it does dry quickly. Once it dries, it's on there. If you want it lighter, if you let it dry and you want it lighter, then you actually just have to kind of go back with a paint and lighten it up. And I have done that before. Like a dry brush over a glaze looks really, really pretty. Gives it some extra depth. But you guys see I'm just kind of wiping. I'm taking it all the way off the highlighted portions. So hopefully you can see it pretty well here. I want that to be, I just want it to accentuate the details. And glazing is a messy, super messy process. It's probably not my favorite thing to do, but I love how it ends up looking. I love the end result once it's dry. And I don't want any streaks. That's why I keep going over it. I keep switching to a clean spot on my baby wipes. And I am going to do the edges on this one so you guys can see kind of what I do, because I want to bring them together with the rest of the piece, but I don't want a whole lot of glaze on them. And I'm going to hold this up so you guys get a close-up once I'm finished. I'm just steady going over these parts here, these highlighted areas, to really wipe that glaze back. And it dries a little bit differently than it looks when it's wet too. Okay, so this is pretty good, pretty much how I want it. I'm gonna go ahead and hold it up. It's still gonna look like a little bit of a hot mess until it dries and we get the rest of the steps done. And I've got one that's finished over here, so you'll be able to see kind of how that looks. You don't want to get an overlap on your edges, a little bit like I did here. So now I want to bring my edges kind of to the same look as the rest of this piece. So you can kind of see how it looks. It's all in the details there, but the edges look bright white. So all I'm going to do is dip this in a little bit of the glaze, and then I'm going to bring it around here. And I'm actually going to apply it with my baby wipe. So it's just going to give it like a streaky look, almost like I put the glaze on and wiped it back, but it's just one step. I don't have to do that. So let's go ahead, just dipped a little bit more in so you can kind of see, whoops, how that's going on. I'll kind of wipe that off the top. Then we've just got this one side still using the dirty part. Just kind of gives it a little bit of a streaky effect. So that's it for that step. You just set this aside. You let this dry. This can dry, you know, an hour or two, and you're able to come back for the final step. So this is one that I have dried right here. And then, yeah, you know, I'm just not a huge fan of glaze normally. I don't like the process with it as much, but I do like it layering in. And you guys, really quick, this was my Gator Hide brush. I don't want to let this Gator Hide dry on here, so I'm just going to squirt it down right quick with some water so I can keep that activated till I get off the live and can do something. So this part is super easy. Last step. And we've rolled right through these. I wasn't sure I was going to get done with them. But we're doing great on time. Hopefully I'm not being too boring here. All right, so I've got Best Dang Wax in black. Mine's pretty well used. And I'm just using a natural bristle art brush here. Oh, hey, Deborah. All right, I'm just using a natural bristle art brush here. I'm going to put a little bit on the tip. And then I'm going to go through. Oh, thanks. I'm going to go through and I'm going to add this black wax almost the same kind of way that I did with the glaze. It's going to be the same type of thing. I just want to accentuate all these spots. And I'm hoping that you're going to really be able to see how this turns out live, because this gives a really nice layered effect. It gives it a lot of depth, having both the glaze and the wax on here. And to me, sometimes it just kind of looks messy with glaze, I think. But once you do the wax on it, it really, that layering makes it pop. I almost always wax after I glaze. It's just a personal preference, though. I either usually wax or I do a dry brush. I have a thing for it not being too flat. So it looks a little crazy right now, but it's going to look better once we wipe it back. And then once it dries, it looks phenomenal. And this is actually these are the master bathroom drawer fronts here. It's about the size of a small kitchen apartment or apartment kitchen. So that's it. I've put this all in here, and now I'm going to go ahead and take just a lint-free cotton rag here, and I'm going to go ahead and clean this up and wipe it back. So also wiping it back here is what, oh, I forgot what I was going to say that quick. You guys, I don't know about, for some reason, usually I don't even notice it's Monday. I don't go to work. So, you know, this is what I do. So most of the time I don't even know what day of the week it is. But today has definitely, these last few Mondays have definitely been Mondays. My toilet actually, well, we had a guy here working on it because the toilet flooded the bathroom. It came out from underneath. So I think there's something going on with the plumbing. And he was here working on it, and of course it happened all over again. So I was trying to quickly clean it up before I came live. So my brain is not 100% functional right now. All right. We're just going to keep wiping it back. Now, if you would not be able to wipe back in a specific area or something like that, you can always use a little clear wax to do that. And this wax generally actually takes about 15 to 20 minutes for it to set up. Let's go ahead. I put quite a bit on here. So we're just pulling a lot of this back. And I don't have one with this dried on it already because it will change a little bit once it dries. It'll be a little bit more subtle. Not a whole lot, but enough for it looks better once it dries. And I will take a picture of all the final cabinets. I actually meant to post one today. I've got those all painted. They're just ready for a little bit of glaze and wax. And I'm only doing these drawer fronts this way. The rest of it, like I did, that's the sides with the baby wipe. is how I'll actually do the rest of the piece. So it'll be very subtle on the other parts. All right, so I think I've got this white back as much as I want it to. So I actually wiped a little bit more back than I wanted to over here. So you can just add some more on and then just come back in and wipe it down. But I like to use a brush like this instead of something like the mini when I'm just doing that detail work or that pinstriping wax, I guess, because I can really get into those details and it doesn't look as shaded more as it does outlined whenever you do it this way and kind of use that art brush. All right, so I think that's it. That's all I wanted to wipe back. So you can actually see, so when this dries, it'll kind of meld together a little bit more, but you can kind of see the brown in here. You can see the black highlights. It just looks really good once it gets all put together and with the hardware. But that's, oh, thank you. But this is the last step. So that is literally start to finish. Obviously, it's a much bigger job. Cabinets are a huge job. And you guys, one of my neighbors bought paint and she completely redid all of her cabinets, bless her heart. It is a big job. I would not recommend that be your first time painting. I do recommend that you paint something small. Don't just jump straight to your cabinets. They're a big job. Let's see, when doing this process, can we use Easy Peasy to wipe back more? Oh yeah, definitely. That'll work as well. If that makes sense. Yeah, no, it does. The only thing with it is Easy Peasy sets up really, really quickly. So you just have to work fast, but you're just wiping it back, so I don't see where that would be a problem. Just spray it straight on your rag. Like normally, if I wanted to wipe back more, I don't have my clear out here. Usually I do get it out anytime I wax. But I just put a little bit like right on here and then I just wipe back that part. So I can tell you on here. So I obviously missed a tiny spot with Gator Hide right here. Let me bring you in close. Once this dries, it's not going to be as evident though. And once everything comes together, it'll really kind of look more like character, but I know it's what it actually is from. See right there? So I could take my clear wax and I could clean that up right now. I might actually when we pop off this live. But the reason that happened is because I did this door quickly with the Gator Hide early this morning before I left to go work on the cabinets there. And I just missed like a tiny little spot with the Gator Hide. So you can see the difference, I mean, right there of how things wipe back with and without that additional added protection in there. It just doesn't wipe back as smoothly. So that's why another reason why I like to do it. Plus I want it to be water repellent. It's a bathroom. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm a mess. So let me just quickly roll around here and kind of look through the comments just to make sure I didn't miss any questions. Because usually I'm not this fast. Usually I'm going like right up to the line. So let's just see. I use Easy Peasy to wipe back more. Oh, thanks. Let's see here. Yeah, glaze isn't my favorite. I know I just said that a minute ago too when I saw that comment, but it's so messy, but it's so worth it on some things. And you know, a lot of people can stop, like just once you paint it, you just want one, you know, like if you don't have all these details, you know, you can just stop with paint. You don't have to do like all those extra steps. But that just kind of gives you an idea, start to finish, you know, decide how to prime them. But it's so convenient because you don't have to do like a complete sand on it. Yeah, Anitra, I'm so light-handed too. And I have to actually try to get brush strokes. So that's why When I want brush strokes, I use a brush that is like a natural bristle brush because it's more likely to give me those. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I love Endless Shores too. Let's see. Oh, so to clean my brushes, I use scrubby soap. And then when my scrubby soap gets down a little bit, sometimes I'll just squirt a little Dawn on there and get it out. We do have Clean as a Whistle too, so let me tell you, I don't use Clean as a Whistle on my brushes that I use for protectant because I did that once and I ended up with like this gluey thing going on. I don't know if it was something I did or whatever, but I just don't do it anymore. Clean as a Whistle though is fantastic. If you don't throw away your brush, if you let paint dry in it, just use Clean as a Whistle, let it soak and then wash it out. Don't want to run it down the drain though. But just use the Clean as a Whistle and wash it out. It'll come right off. But I have let protectant dry in my brushes before. I just threw them off to the side and forgot about them. What I do with those brushes is I let them totally dry and then I take like a fine tooth comb and I just brush and brush and brush. And eventually I can get all that out. I wash them usually a couple times in between, but that's a huge pain. But that's kind of how I clean those brushes if it dries in. After the slide, they'll still be active enough that I can take them and get them out with the scrubby soap. Love scrubby soap. If you haven't tried it, definitely do. The lime is my favorite, but it comes in lemon and orange as well, which I actually sell more of the orange and lemon than I do the lime, but lime's my favorite. Let's see. All right, you guys, so I think I caught everything. I didn't see Dixie Belle on, but that's okay. So again, thank you guys so much. By the way, if you're watching this on my page, I can't see those comments. I did cross-post it. So I will go back on my page and look at that. So that's all set and can't think of anything else. But thank you guys so much for hanging out tonight. Take care. Have a great rest of your week and I will see you next Monday. Bye-bye.